animal doing a human activity, my planning page. And I did this, just started making notes. So what I started off with was what? And I don't really know if y'all can see very well what's on here. But so what I was thinking about was, what kind of human activities do I do that I could turn into what an animal might do? And so I listed some different things. And I listed sports, artist, teacher, reading, on a device, because I see y'all on them all the time, including right now. And cleaning, mothering, and shopping. Those are kind of some things that I thought might make interesting things for animals to do that were, primarily human things. So I listed all those off, and then the first one I had listed was travel, because that's like my favorite thing to do, is to go places. And so I had thought about doing drawing a collage of postcards of animals different places, right, on trips. But I realized that would be a whole lot of drawing, and so I backed off of that a little bit, but I left it with travel. So part of when you're making your decisions about your prompts, you do need to think about your time management and not wanting to spend 3 hours on your sketchbook, because I don't want you to spend 3 hours on your sketchbook, and coming up with an idea that you can do within that hour window. Okay, so once I did that, I would love it if y'all would look up here and pay attention. Then I talked about who. So what kind of animal am I going to focus on? So I just started listing off animals that I like. So I listed off a rabbit or a bunny. I like turtles, frogs, birds, elephants, and I listed bears. So I ended up going with bears. So I circled bears because I felt like I could be the most expressive with their faces. And as humans, we're very expressive, and that's something that I wanted to be able to show. So once I decided on travel and bears, then I decided, well, where do I want to put them? And so then I made some lists, and I came up with New York, because New York's my favorite place to go, and my family and I had taken a trip there recently. So after I did that, I made a list of places in New York bears would go. That's what's right here. What would be interesting for a bear in New York, right? So Central Park, because it's the only wooded area in New York, things like that. Or what else did I list? What? Ice skating. What are the touristy, iconic things, right? A subway ride. I put the Museum of the American Indian. The Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian is in New York, and I thought that might be interesting to bears. I don't know. So I just listed off the Natural History Museum, Central Park, a taxi ride, Wall Street, because there's a bear market sometimes. So anyway, so that kind of stuff. So then I came up with ideas, and then I did sketches over here of how I wanted to lay my page out. How am I going to do this? And then I looked up pictures on Pinterest of bears, and I did look up some cartoon bears. So some of these bears that you see they were already drawings of bears, and then I tried to adjust them. Okay, so then once I had decided on this layout right here, which has a photo, and then it has their itinerary and a map and some other notes, because I didn't want to have to draw all those postcards with all the bears, because that would take too long. So then I thought, well, I have a family picture of my family in New York, and so then I took this picture of me and my family in New York, and I used it as my inspiration for my bear picture. So here's my page. Okay, well, that's the picture here. So, and then I put other stuff around it. But so I tried to pull out personalities in the bears' faces to match my family, and I put a hat on my husband because he bought this horrible tacky tourist hat while we were there, and we made fun of him the whole time, so I had to leave that on, right? And then I drew everybody around them. So that was kind of my process in that, and it really didn't take that long. The whole page. So I collaged in the Italian bakery that we went to while we were there from the bag, because I keep all kinds of stuff when I go on trips. The ticket from the top of the rock, which is where the picture was taken, and then I made them an itinerary and put where they went and that kind of stuff. So I also did, you can't really see it on there, I did a watercolor wash on the back, and I think I want it to be a little bit darker. But that's kind of the process that I went through, is making the decision. And I know it sounds like that might have taken a long time, but it really didn't. I mean, the drawing took a lot more time. So what I'm trying to suggest that y'all do, because I feel like, and it's not just this class, it's all of my classes, including my Visual Art 2 classes, is like on Monday or on the weekend before, think about your prompt on Monday. Don't wait till Thursday night to try to come up with an idea, because I feel like y'all are getting bogged down by a lot of your other schoolwork, and you're getting to a point where, you know, you're getting it done the night before. And I see this in my own home with my own child, because that's not due until Friday, and I have this due and this. But if you'll just spend like 5 minutes making some notes in your sketchbook about your ideas as you're coming into class each day, and I'm reminding you of the prompt, you're going to think about that again, even if you're not writing something down, and it's going to help you when you get ready to get started on your page. Okay? So the other thing, this too, like if you did something like this, and you did, like I do it on the back of where I want to put it in my sketchbook, and that way I can remember what my process was. And if you did something like this where you make notes on the back of the page and I see that, that helps me understand your thought process too. And it helps me understand how you're trying to communicate the prompt to me. So even if it doesn't take up this whole page and it's not decorated, and you know, but even if it's just a few notes, then it helps me give you more points if I understand it better. Do y'all understand that? All right. So just really fast. So this one. Oh, I'm making a mess. It's like this one is just a few notes. So, and I had actually made some on Post-it notes, and I taped it in here on the back. And then I talked about the steps that I took after I did it, just to help me remember. And this was the When I Close My Eyes. And this is a quote, "All that we imagine is real," by Picasso. And so this is not really what mine's based off of, but this was my page for that one. So I did just some, like when I close my eyes, I filled the birds with things that I think about. Some are good things, some are stressful things, some are, you know, just thoughts or memories, and then drew the bird to represent, to let go of some of those things, you know, when you're thinking. So, and I think I showed y'all that one already. That was my "Never Would I Ever Be a Storm Chaser." So, be thinking about that in your process. I'm hoping by the end of the year, some of the work that you've done in your sketchbook, you'll be able to choose something that you turn into a final piece of art, like a big project. That really is the goal of the sketchbook, is to kind of exercise that creative process on a smaller scale, so that you have these ideas that you can turn into finished projects. And if you choose to take VA2 next year, we do things like this, and they work with a theme. So their pages are like, they've just chosen their own theme, so they do some light research on that, they do some media studies, and then they do like 5 different pages on the same theme. So you've got to stretch yourself to, you know, think about different ideas for the same concept rather than just one. And you know how that's how an artist works, and that's what we're trying to teach you, is that process and how to think through that. And it applies to art, but it's also going to apply to a lot of different stuff in your life. A lot of different jobs are going to require you to come up with different solutions and problems, and how to work through those and brainstorm. And so it's the same process that you're going to apply to a lot of different things. All right? Helpful? I hope so.